Coming to you from our digital desk, we're about to get a brief update from the police chief in Cleveland on the situation overnight where a stolen car with 4 people in it in their 20s crashed after going at a very high rate of speed. They were speeding, crashed, hit 2 trees. The damage was so extensive that they couldn't even tell what make or model the vehicle was. But unfortunately, all 4 people died. 3 were ejected. The driver remained in the car, but all pronounced dead at the scene. There you see Chief Todd, but we've been told this is going to be a brief update. Again, this was at about 12:45 this morning.
Everyone, last night at about 12:41 this morning, we received a call from neighbors about a vehicle accident that occurred here on West 106th. The callers stated that, it appeared that the victims and the vehicles that were involved had not survived the crash. Our officers responded to the scene to start their investigation. At this time, the preliminary results are that a vehicle was traveling by itself northbound on West 106th. It struck 2 trees and the vehicle was torn apart at the scene. There were 4 occupants in the vehicle, 2 males and 2 females, that were pronounced deceased at the scene. At this time, we are still working to identify the 4 individuals. Preliminarily, it looks like they may be teenagers. The vehicle was reported stolen on February 27th from an address in the 2nd District on Wichita. It had been taken without the keys from the owner, without his permission or knowledge. So at this point, our investigators are still actively investigating this. We are looking at our real-time crime center for any information that might assist with our investigation. We did have the vehicle traveling in different areas throughout the city that it looked like it had just been driving around throughout the evening. So at this point, there's not a lot of information that we do have, but this is an absolute tragedy to have 4 young people killed in this type of tragic accident. So at this point, if there's any questions that you have that I can answer.
Chief, was there any other vehicle involved that may have been chasing this car?
So from what I saw in the footage, there doesn't seem to be any other cars in the area. Like I said, this is a single car crash. And when I was able to review the footage, there were no other cars following behind or in the area.
Any idea how fast this car was traveling?
It was a high rate of speed. Our investigation will still, the accident investigators will still work to determine that. But if you had an opportunity to see the results of the crash, it had to have been going at a really high rate of speed. I really don't know that at this time. I don't want to guess at that.
Can you go back to the February 27th on Wichita and the circumstances? Was this at night? Was this during the day?
So the owner had last seen his vehicle in the morning, parked on the street in front of his home. And when he came out later in the day, the vehicle was missing.
Was anything?
There was no glass. There was nothing. There was nothing to indicate how it was taken. He had his keys, so no information on how that vehicle was taken. It was a 2014 Hyundai Sonata was the vehicle that was involved.
Have you been able to get in contact with all 4 families that are all involved yet? I know obviously you haven't identified that, but how long might that take?
Right now, the coroner's office is conducting their investigation. We have not made contacts with any family members because we're still working to identify the 4 individuals in the crash.
Is that because of the severity of these injuries?
It's not necessarily the severity, but there was nothing in the vehicle to identify the occupants. So at this time, the only thing we have are the preliminary results that they appear to be potentially juveniles that were in the car.
What kind of message would you have? This is probably one of the worst stolen car cases that we've had in a while with 4 deaths, a message maybe if they are teenagers to parents and other teenagers?
So when you look at a tragedy like this, the vehicles aren't toys. This is not, it's dangerous. The capabilities they have. And if this is, it appears it could have been a minor overcorrection that caused the accident. If you mix a, inexperienced driver and high rates of speed, and then of course it's, also a stolen vehicle. We don't have much information on the driver of the vehicle. We don't have anything at this time to really know what happened. But, vehicles can be absolutely dangerous. And as we see, this has had deadly consequences and deadly results. It's scary. Any other questions?
Just to make sure I'm clear, were 3 thrown from the vehicle and 1 was inside?
Yes, there were 3 of the occupants were ejected from the vehicle, and 1 was still inside the vehicle.
Inside which part?
Towards the driver's area.
Nobody had seatbelts at any time or any indication of wearing seatbelts?
At this time, I don't believe so, but our investigation should be able to determine that.
And police didn't encounter this vehicle earlier in the night, or there was no pursuit of any kind?
No, until the neighbors came out, they heard the accident, and they made the call to 911.
The wind.
Yep, understood.
Enjoying the wind.
The footage that you reviewed, is that all real-time crime?
Part of that is real-time crime. That's also security footage from a resident in the area.
Any indication that drinking was involved, alcohol, drugs?
Not that we're aware of. Of course, the coroner's office will be the final determination of that. Everybody good? Okay. All right,
Thank
thanks.
you, Chief, for
You're-
holding this.
Dan DeRose with 19 News. We've just been getting a live update from Police Chief Todd, Annie Todd with the Cleveland Police Department there on this horrific crash overnight. 4 individuals, 4 juveniles is what we're hearing now. I want you to keep in mind, as information was coming out overnight, this happened at about 12:40 early this morning, so just after midnight. Chief Todd saying there's real-time video, real-time crime cameras from around the city showing this particular video, or this particular car just driving around, joyriding last night. The car was reported stolen a couple of weeks ago, back on February 27th. It was another one of these Hyundais that was stolen. It was a Hyundai Sonata that was stolen, and 4 juveniles. So that if that holds, because this has gone from 4 people in their 20s to then their teens, now we're being told juveniles. So we have to assume they were 17 and younger that were in this car joyriding, going at an extremely high rate of speed. When they lost control, crashed into 2 trees. The car broke apart, ejecting 3. Those 3 die at the scene. The driver was found in what was kind of left of the vehicle near the driver's seat, and he was pronounced dead at the scene as well. 2 men, 2 young men, 2 young women pronounced dead at the scene. Looks like we might get a little more update from the public information officer for Cleveland. We'll see if he adds any more. Oh, he's going to do this in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking audience. Let's take a listen.
Una llamada por un vehículo que había chocado en esta área aquí en la 106, y cuando los oficiales llegaron a la escena descubrieron que habían 4 individuos que habían sido afectados a causa de este accidente. 3 de los individuos salieron del vehículo con el impacto, y el chofer quedó dentro del vehículo, pero lamentablemente los 4 fueron pronunciados muertos en la escena.
We're going to do this real quick. We're going to do it again.
What happened?
Nothing. He gives to the girl.
yeah.
I was like, what are they doing? I'm so sorry.
We're just going to swap out a microphone here as Public Information Officer Diaz is giving an
Hold on,
update
Yeah, I got you, Angie.
for our Spanish-speaking audience on Telemundo.
Down the street here.
Down here.
Between Western, no, it's opened up. It's cleaned up already. There's not. I was gonna do it there, but it's really not much.
The trees are
You
scarred
can probably
up
see the
on
caution
right
tape.
side.
There's like one stretch left there.
So the
That's about
trees
it.
scarred up. Okay.
You good?
Stick it way up in there. Yeah,
All
put
right.
me on my
Can I
foot.
have you go over the logistics again of what happened earlier this morning with the crash?
Sí, a tarde, o sea, bien temprano esta mañana, a las 12:39 de la mañana, recibo una llamada por un accidente de vehículo que aconteció aquí en la West 106 y a los oficiales cuando llegaron descubrieron que habían 4 individuos que estaban en el vehículo. 3 de los individuos salieron del vehículo con el impacto y el cuarto, que era el chofer, se quedó dentro del vehículo, pero lamentablemente los 4 fueron pronunciados muertos en la escena.
I'm not sure if you went over this, but cover what we do know about these victims. I know there's not a lot, but kind of the ages, the genders.
Sí, por el momento no hemos podido identificar a los que estaban envueltos. Sospechamos que son juveniles entre la edad de 15 a 20 años, 2 hombres y 2 mujeres, pero no hemos podido todavía determinar la identificación. Estamos esperando que el medical examiner sea el que determine eso.
And same thing with what we know about this vehicle. We said the make, the model, and kind of how this was. You guys said it was traveling on its own. There wasn't any other car. There wasn't any pursuit or anything like that.
Correcto, era un vehículo que estaba manejando, la policía no estaba detrás de este vehículo, simplemente iba manejando, creemos que a alta velocidad. Sí sabemos que el vehículo fue reportado robado febrero 27, unos par de días atrás fue reportado robado. Eso sí sabemos que el vehículo estaba robado y los individuos que estaban en el vehículo pues, obviamente tenían posesión, pero por el momento no hubo ninguna persecución de la policía.
And where is police at with this investigation so far?
Sabemos que pues obviamente los individuos fueron declarados muertos. Estamos en el proceso de identificarlos para entonces hacer las notificaciones a la familia. Estamos también esperando los exámenes que nos den un poquito más de información sobre qué posiblemente fue lo que aconteció. Por el momento no sabemos si hubo alcohol o drogas envueltas, pero sí sabemos que definitivamente iban a alta velocidad.
And what is the message that the police department is putting out to the community with this crash? Like we said, it was very violent, very high speed, something you guys haven't seen in a long time.
Sí, la velocidad de un vehículo a alta velocidad es obviamente muy peligroso, especialmente para unos choferes que son falta de experiencia. Es un recordatorio a la comunidad de que cuando estén conduciendo un vehículo estén pendientes a la velocidad. Sabemos también que, pues, como dije en este instante, el vehículo fue robado, obviamente los juveniles que estaban envueltos, las personas que estaban envueltos, posiblemente estaban huyendo de algo y esperamos que podamos encontrar más información pronto.
Lastly, anything I left out? Anything else you think you need to add that we didn't get?
No, I think I covered. I tried to.
All right, looks like we finished with our update for our Spanish-speaking audience through our Telemundo staff there. We're going to have complete details on this again, just a quick wrap-up. 2 young men, 2 young women killed in a stolen car that was driving, and I'm going to use a quote here that we had gotten from police early this morning. Very violent, very high-speed crash. That stolen Hyundai Sonata was traveling, was speeding, lost control, smashed into 2 trees, obliterating the car. We had heard from neighbors who came out and saw bodies laying outside of the vehicle, 3 of them ejected and died at the scene. The driver was in what was left of the car, and he was also pronounced dead at the scene. And now it appears that they were all not only teenagers but juveniles under the age of 18, as police are going to have to weigh heavily on the medical examiner to get identification. They said there was no IDs, nothing to identify these individuals in what was left of the vehicle or around the crash site to identify them. So it's going to be a little bit of an issue for them to notify families. We will have updates throughout the day on this. Again, just a massive tragedy of 4 young lives in a stolen a stolen Hyundai crashing and killing on the city's west side in the 2000 block of West 106th Street. I believe that's the Cadell neighborhood. Watch for updates in our noon broadcast coming up in 15 minutes on Channel 19. Then when we start 3.5 hours of news and first alert weather on Channel 19 at 3 o'clock. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social media at Cleveland 19 News.